So here we are in Flight Sim. I'm going to give a demo of the Queensland Air Training Corps or Australian Air Force Cadets or AirTC Piper Tomahawk repaints and all that those entail. So I'm going to go up quick here to the profile, go to the hangar, and we have VH-TLA, Tango Lima Alpha, and one of the first aircraft I ever flew. We have a custom A-letter there. The cheat lines I've had to make some compromises with because there's kind of a bend on the fuselage in the 3D model, which is fine. It's passable, particularly if you're actually flying from the inside. The main thing is the view from the inside the cockpit. So yeah, she looks really, really beautiful here. Very, very clean. We always kept these polished. We did a good cut and polish by hand, and the TLA was always shining like this, Tango Lima Alpha, or as we used to call her, Tango Luma Alpha. If anybody that lives in Brisbane or is in QAirTC knows, Tango Luma is a resort off of Queensland, and it was a kind of an in-joke at the time for us. So we have all this here. The thing I am missing from this part of the aircraft are the door markings, the fuel markings, the static drain. On the reference photos I have, they don't have the do not push on the rudder. And I've gotten the font as close to possible as the real thing. I will provide updates. I do have the Australian Air Force Cadets version with the AAFC for the tail. What I don't have yet is the black cheat lines that occurred sometime after 1990 when I flew her. And that's quite a lot of work to actually get that done. I will do that in the future, but I am preparing to move over to the United States. So we'll go back to the world map and prepare for flight. So we've got our different liveries here, and I have a couple others that I'm working on too, early versions of TLA, like in her delivery colors from Piper, then with the Piper Flight Center logo on the front, and then Royal Air Club in New South Wales had that logo on the front, the rust kind of colored tail with a logo on it, and then their logo on the side of the fuselage, which I'm gonna have to do up by hand. Haven't had any success in contacting them. So I flew her in the 1990s colors, where she had a white dome under the fuselage. That was later changed to an orange dome with the black stripes, and then later with the Australian Air Force Cadets registration on the tail. There's Uniform Alpha Lima, which was not in the fleet when I was learning to fly, and then we come up here. As you can see, there's a bunch of other aircraft. So VH-TLA, Foxtrot Tanker India, when I learned to fly her, she was just in basic Piper colors. She was later repainted. Again, black cheat line there is not there. Australian Air Force Cadets version. The other thing to Uniform Alpha Lima, the cheat line here actually goes back to the next row of rivets compared to Foxtrot Tanker India and Tango Lima Alpha. And she has a white, from the reference photos I've seen, she has a white dome underneath the fuselage. So we're going to go for 1990s. I'm flying the 16K version, used some techniques that I use in film to be able to upscale her, and it looks really spectacular. And I have a 2080 Ti, so she's not really affecting my frame rates very much, because I have 11 gig of RAM. Although I do want to get a 4090, the work that I do in film, I need 24 gig of VRAM and a minimum to be able to do 6K and 8K editing. So I'm going to set on the ground there. I'm going to set the time to 2:59 p.m. I'm going to go clear skies because I want to take off from runway 15. Just because that's the primary runway we would always use. I don't want to use the current weather because it's runway 33 at the moment. There used to be a tent over here that we used to park at. That's where we did the cut and polish for her. But technically, this was, I believe this one was the building that we originally had for our flight line. That's since been demolished and replaced. So we're going to start off over here on this field here. We used to park in here too, but I currently only have a mod for Amberley Air Force Base through, I think it was tag 21 at flightsim.to. So we are here. Archfield's over here. That's the other airport that we flew out of primarily. And then if you head west, there's Oki Army Air Base, which has got quite a few more runways. But the primary airfield for Air Training Corps was out here at Amberley Air Force Base. So have I set starting position, set departure? So I'm going to adjust the time to I want to do exactly 3 p.m., but it won't let me exactly get on 3 p.m. Oh, no, it makes a lie out of me. It wouldn't let me do that before. Okay, why? Amberley Air Force Base, parking, set departure. Let's see whether it'll let me do it this time. No, 2:59. We'll start there. All right, we'll click fly. Now, I am going to be following proper procedures. I normally fly, I have the Pimax 5K Super. I normally fly in maximum field of view. I'm not a huge fan of the scuba mask effect, so it's like 150-degree field of view in normal mode, but that gives me more of a normal picture on screen. So let's start her up. And the stuttering is still down. Just gonna hit the space bar to center up. And we are ready to fly. Now, I'm gonna have to skip over a couple of things. I'm gonna pass on the radios. We're gonna go cold and dark here.
Cold and dark selected.
Let's just remove chocks in that, because when we're doing the flight training, we didn't have any of them in. Okay, so normally we get into the aircraft. Now, I have got my own chart list here, and I've put in the RAAF Amberley Flying Club checklist, which is a 2-page checklist. I've gone through. There's Amberley Air Force Base. I don't actually have the lighthouses to be able to do proper head tracking. I'm just using the default with the Pimax. So that's got all my radio frequencies and stuff on it. These are charts I would normally have with me. Actually, I'd normally just have the aerodrome diagrams. Archfield, and then Oki Army Air Base. Now, when I was learning to fly, we only had these 2 runways here, the main sealed runways. We didn't have all these extras that they have out there. So, yeah. So let's just open the door. Now, I have problems in VR with the latches not working, and it works properly this time. Maybe it's just in the wide field of view. I'll just get this window down too. Okay. So let me just get to the chart. So what we're going to do, we're going to come out from here. We're going to go taxi down to the enter runway 33, do the run up, take off, make a left turn, head out towards Archfield. We'll overfly Archfield, head out east across to the training area, and then head down south. So what we'll do is we'll start a pre-flight, and normally we would get into the aircraft. We would have and I apologize if this cursor gets in the way. It may be annoying. Normally at the back of the seat, we would get the aircraft logbooks, check sure that it's current, make sure it's all up to date. Do that, stow that, parking brake set on. We'll set the flaps full for the pre-flight. The interesting thing is, and this isn't a huge complaint, the flaps are not normally rounded like that with the Tomahawk. They actually have like a kind of very sharp C-step, very much like the ailerons. I don't know whether I can see it. Where's my controller. Yeah, I can't really see it from this angle, but yeah, if anybody knows Tomahawk, they'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to stow this paperwork here. We'll pretend that we've gone through those other areas on the checklist. Now, I do have a custom checklist that I have put up on flightsim.to. I can't really share it with the actual aircraft repaint, but this got all of Queensland Air Training Corps stuff. And the reason why I'm not going to go visually through it is because I can't actually lean into it to be able to see the screen. So I'm going to set this and I'll do everything from memory, and my memory is a little rusty and everything. So, and while I'm here, I'm going to get my controllers and set them all correctly. And I have discovered a little cheat. I was wanting to buy a proper trim wheel, but they don't make them anymore. So because I have the Logitech throttle quadrant, I've got the throttle on the left, mixture in the middle, and I've got my trim on the right, which has been a huge help. Right, so we're going to go through, we've done all that. Let's head outside the aircraft and we will start the pre-flight. So let's go back to the aircraft menu, and I believe it's this one. Yep. Okay, so first thing we'll do when we get outside is we'll check the hinges, both on the inside and the underside. Make sure all the screws are tight, there's no nuts loose or anything like that. We'll get underneath and check the wheels. We'll just do that for the checklist sake here. And then we'll check the brakes, we'll check the brake lines, check the calipers, check the tires for enough depth. We'll also check that everything is nice and okay, if there's no oil leaks or anything. Now, we also check along the surface here, these hinges, make sure all those screws are not loose. And we would hold the underside up. You really want to make sure that nobody pushes down on the thing, because you could probably almost cut off your fingers. But we'll check the nuts on the underside there. Come around to the wingtip, check all these screws are in and both on the underside. Come around the end, check that the nav lights and strobes are secure. Visual inspection. And then we'll look down the wing to make sure that the spars are nice and straight, that there hasn't been any wing strikes. And we would come around the front here. Actually, I have to return to the aircraft real quick. One thing I forgot to do. It's not going to let me go there. Ooh, have I clicked out of a window? I have not. There. One thing I need to do, I need to turn on the battery. I'll just turn the fuel pump on just to make sure that I've got the battery and not the alternator. No, the battery's the one on the left. Turn the alternator off. Okay, let's go back out and do the pre-flight. I love the sound of the gyro spinning up. Okay, so we come around the front. We check the pitot tube, make sure it's nice and clear. We had two different types of pitot tubes for the Tomahawk. There's this style and there was another style. I need to get in and redo the surface of that at some point to metallize it. I've got the metal texture, I just don't have the surface. So the other thing, we will check the storm, make sure it works, and then we go back. And for the rest of the pre-flight, we'll turn it off. And let's go back to the pre-flight around the wing. So next, what we're going to do, we are going to check the fuel drain. Now, in Australia, it's a little bit different. We don't quite have the EPA laws that the United States has. So we'll check it, make sure there's no water in the fuel, check its correct color. And we'd throw it down onto the tarmac and make sure it evaporates, because one thing that you could get is a fuel tester full of water, and so you want to make sure that it actually evaporates quickly to make sure that it is actually fuel. Oh, the other thing too is that you want to check the fuel quantity on the wings. Now, this has it on the backside of the wings, but you can't actually reach that from the backside of the wing in a real aircraft. So you'll take this off, put the dipstick in, check the fuel, check If it's full, there's a little metal tab that's like kind of in an L shape, and you'll check that. So next you'll come check the hinges. Oh, the other thing, you check the leading edge of the wing, make sure that there's no dents or anything that hasn't textured into anything. Check the hinges here are secure, check that this vent is clear, open the hinges here, and check that there's no bird's nest in the engine. Make sure that the lines, the magnetos and the spark plugs are all secure. Make sure that the engine is properly attached. Make sure all that's clear. Let me pop up here because I can't really see it from this angle. So you want to do the fuel drain at the front here, and then you'll close up and make sure that that's properly latched. Next, we'll check the leading edge of the prop. Make sure that there's no nicks or cracks or anything. Check the entire prop, make sure it's okay. Check all the screws on the spinner are nice and secure. Check the air intakes are clear. Check the condition of the light. Check the oleo. Oh, that's the other thing too, is when you're on the side here, you'll go down and check the oleo. Now, I would like to go in and tweak this. This oleo looks a little bit too compressed, and it really needs inflation a little bit. Because it should be 4 fingers high, and it looks like about 3 fingers high from this. Check condition of the nose wheel, check this intake here, and here I don't recommend actually spinning the prop. We never did that in real life. We'll just check the condition of the prop. So we'll do that. We'll move around to this side, and again, open this, check the oil levels, check. So you take out the dipstick, check it, check the brake reservoir, check the magnetos, all the leads, make sure everything's okay, make sure it's locked and sealed, check this air vent, check the door hinges are okay, check the leading edge of the wing, come underneath, again, check the undercarriage and that, check the fuel, do a fuel drain, do that, and then we'll move around to the wingtip, and again the same thing, we'll check the condition of the screws, check the main spars, check this is secure, check the lights are okay, come around, check the ailerons, check the hinges, the push rods, move on to the flaps, check the hinges, check the push rods, come around and check the brakes, the calipers, the lines, make sure that they're all secure. Check the step is secure, come up to the fuselage, check that, or the empennage, check that it's nice and straight, check the fuel drains are clear, check the antennas here, check the antenna up here. Check this tie down point, which is also like tail strike kind of prevention. Make sure that there's been no recent tail strikes. Check the rudder condition, don't push it. Not able to push up and test the elevator, although it has it here in a checklist to push it, which you don't want to do. You don't want to do that either. You'll visually do that through other stuff. So you come around the other side here. I'll go around to this other thing. So again, you'll check the antennas up here. Check the static drain is clear. Check the steps clear, and then you can return to the aircraft and put the flaps on, which I will do through my controller because it's hard to do through the mouse. All right, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to go through, take a look over the condition of the instruments, turn the radio on, obtain ATIS, write that down into our notebook, which we can do here through, where's the notes page here? Just write down stuff on the notes. I can't lean into it to be able to see it at the moment, so let's just go back. I have to close my radio. Why is that not going back? Yeah, I'm just going to turn that off anyway. Because we didn't have an iPads back in my day. So check ATIS, turn the radio off. Hang on, I've just got a snag up on my cable behind me. Where are you gone? You gone that way. You got round. No problem with VR. Okay, so let's say we've checked the ATIS, turn the radio off. Let's leave the battery. Let's leave the master on, actually. Come in, check the instruments. We'll come in, make sure they're all okay. We will turn fuel onto the fullest tank, which is the left tank at the moment. And we want to keep it on left tank. We don't have an instructor beside us. So we'll go mixture fully rich. Primer, 5 pumps because we're still gold. 2, 3, 4, 5, and off and locked. Throttle, crack open a centimeter. Shim neutral for takeoff. Park brake set. Alright, let's just close the door temporarily. Oops, I don't want to latch it, I want to close it first. Now I'm just going to leave that hinged because we'd often taxi with that. Actually, it's winter, so let's just latch it and make sure that we're secure in here. And yeah, here's where I'm having an issue. There we go. Locked. Let me open the window again. So we need to call prop. Okay, so we've gone through, done the first pass over the instruments. Throttle's cracked up in a centimeter on the left tank. Fuel pump on. Check pressurize. Then off. Alright, clear prop. Okay. Instrument check. Artificial horizon set. We'll set the height for us. We'll set the altimeter. It's shortcut B. Not using radios. So we go like this, left to right, top to bottom. Not using ADF, they've actually shut that off for most places in Australia. We'll set the DG to compass setting. So D is a shortcut on the keyboard. Instruments correct. Throttle set about 1000 RPM. Temperature, pressure have risen within limits, within 30 seconds. Radios on and tuned. Circuit breakers are all in. Gauges are correct. Turn the nav lights on. I believe that one's the nav lights. Come here. Turn those other instruments. Primer off and lock. Mixture fully rich. Fuel fullest tank. Throttles at 1000. Lights are off at the moment. And we're going to taxi to Amberley Ground, Tango Lima Alpha for eastbound departure. Request taxi clearance. Blah blah blah. Taxi clearance received. Alright, clear all round. Let's just quickly check the controls are clear, full and free movement. Alright. Bump the trim. Alright, park brake off. Throttle no more than 1500 RPM. We're clear to taxi. And we want to taxi at a walking pace, basically. Clear right. Clear left. There's no traffic here at the moment, so which was usually the case. Now, when taxiing, one of the things that we had to be careful of is if you are too accurate and keep perfectly centered on the taxiway line, you would hit these centerline taxiway lights, and the instructors would say that you owe them a beer. So you learn not to do that very, very quick. We were only 16 learning to fly, but it was Australia. Different laws here than the US. So to our left would be the F-111 hangars. They were basically open hangars, not buildings like this, but nobody's modeled that yet. I remember taxiing down here one day and looking behind, and there was a nice big P-3C Orion taxiing behind me. Made you feel very, very small. Alright, I'll make sure I don't miss the taxiway this time. I did this flight the other day and I forgot I was taxiing off much closer to where we would normally depart from when I was learning to fly, so let's put the throttle up just a little bit. And just trim back the mixture a little bit too while I taxi. Alright, so we want to turn, check the gauges are all correct, check rudder. That's nice. Full and correct movement. Now, normally you can deflect the rudder a little bit when you are stationary on the ground. I am hoping that Just Flight will adjust that at some point, or if there's a setting that I can adjust to be able to make it so that you can actually move it a little bit on the ground, not the whole thing. So we're going to come around here, and we'll just take the turn wide. Want to park into wind, not that there is any right now. That was a little bit quick. Alright, parking into wind. Park brake on. Clear all round. Okay. Temperature and pressures within limits. Throttle to 1800 RPM. Pressures and temperatures within limits. Okay. Right magneto. Okay, we have a 100 RPM drop there. Back to both. Left magneto. 100 RPM drop. Back to both. Carby heat on. It's working. Off. And throttle back to idle. Sorry, I should have had the mixture fully rich there. And make sure it's 600 to 800 RPM. And bring it back to about 1000 RPM. While we wait. Alright, next we are going to prepare for takeoff. So let's do our temp fish check. Throttle friction is set. Mixture fully rich. Primer off and locked. Fuel pump on. Flaps are set for takeoff. We don't usually use flaps unless we have a obstacle at the end of the runway or if we're on grass. Fuel pump on, flaps set, fullest tank. We might actually switch over to the right hand tank. And temperature and pressure still within limit. Okay. Instrument check, air instruments are set. Switches. Strobe lights on, landing light on. We don't need carpet heat. We're in Queensland, Australia. It's nice, good weather, and we don't intend to need it. And then hatches and hers secure. Overhead is latched, doors latched, and that's all good to go. Great, clear all round. If I can break off. Come over here to the holding point and switch over to tower frequency. Complete tower, Tanker Lima Alpha, runway 33, ready for takeoff. Tanker Lima Alpha, clear for takeoff, runway 33. Oops, throttled up too much. Sorry, I had a late night last night. I went to a For King and Country concert. I don't know if anybody's seen the new movie Unsung Hero, but absolutely amazing. Really good filmmakers. So Right, we're just going to taxi. We're going to keep rolling onto the taxi. We're a 10,000 foot long runway, so we'll just line up on the center line. And then on the count of 3, throttle up. Rudder to counter the torque. And rotate at 53 knots. Airspeed is active. Temperature and pressure is within limits. Rotate. Oh, she already wants to fly. And climb out speed is 70 knots. So I will trim back a little bit. Make sure we're maintaining runway heading. Clear all around. Make sure there's no traffic. Oh, nice. I'm actually getting the climb out speed. Now, normally our climb out speed would be 500 feet per minute climb at 70 knots. 500 feet AGL, temperature and pressure within limits, fuel pump off, fuel pressure okay. And we'll make a left-hand turn, so clear right, clear center, clear left, turning left. And we are going to head out towards Mount Gravatt, which is that little bump just out there. I'm going to climb to about 3,000 feet. Keep our situational awareness high because we are just departing the circuit area. And the climb attitude, if I put my fingers above the glare shield, should be just the perfect angle for climb. Probably need to put my seat up a little bit. That's a bit better. So that should be Archfield dead ahead of us. I was kind of doing a cruise climb because it is a little bit hard to hold it at exactly 70 knots. I have to refine my trim settings on the wheel. And coming up on 3,000 feet, so it'll be attitude, power, trim. So we're going to hit just over 3,000 feet. We'll level off, pull the power back to about 2,300 RPM. $22.50 to $23.50. And then trim for straight and level. That is the other end of the Brisbane River down there. Beautiful winter day for flying. Still trying to get the trim right. Right, we are tending to turn left a little bit, so fuel pump on, temperature pressure okay, left tank, pressure's okay, fuel pump off. Okay. Still climbing. I'm not going to be perfect on my altitudes as I would in real life. Almost straight and level. So the aerodynamics for the Tomahawk, for the justified Tomahawk, they're almost perfect. They are really, really good. Flying in VR is almost like flying the real aircraft. Even that just movement there was pretty accurate. So it's a joy to fly. It does feel like it's flying a little bit too much nose down. But that's something I'm just gonna have to get used to at this point. I mean, the main aerodynamics are pretty good. They could probably be refined a little bit further, but I'm just gonna go with what Just Flight has done because they have gotten a lot more experience in those settings. And it's funny the muscle memory that you get because you have flown the aircraft so much, you know how things are supposed to look from the cockpit because over 56 hours in the type in the real world. But I mean, I've really got no complaints. The one thing that they are trying to track down is the stall warning doesn't seem to be going up the right speed. The stall is appearing to be correct, but the stall warning is not. And that's something that has given them grief as well. So, but that is something that they are aware of and that they are trying to sort out. So straight ahead of us, we've got Archfield in that little patch of green, and then off to the left is Mount Burnett, which has a good overview of the city now. There used to be Swanbank Power Station, which was the inbound reporting point for Italy before, but they got torn down years ago because it was called a power station, and I'm not exactly sure what year it got torn down. Let's check around, make sure that there's no other aircraft around us. At this time of night, they don't put on particularly flying. There's not really anything in the airspace, so I'm using real-time traffic at the moment. So I think that was at Wacom Jail down there. And that is I believe that is, I don't know what you even call it. The other side of the Gateway Motorway? I don't know what it's called that. The Ipswich Motorway. Although, no, this is the Ipswich Motorway. I've been out of Brisbane for so long, I've only been back for a couple of years. But I'm preparing to move back to the US, so you have to forgive me if I don't know my own neighborhood, because I just haven't been out here driving stuff long enough. Now, I'd normally be making radio calls, changing radio frequencies, making sure that I'm not busting in the airspace, everything flying along here. I have worked right at the beginning of flights in 2020. I have worked on custom buildings for Brisbane City, but they came out with the photogrammetry buildings, and Orbix had come up with some stuff. I'm not really fully satisfied with their models because they're kind of cartoonish and they haven't really done the best job on the surface textures and stuff. So I was able to do up several buildings, but I ended up getting stuck with Waterfront Place, having some really bizarre modeling issues and everything. So I'll one day go back and revisit that, but by the time I would get to that, it may be that the photogrammetry has gotten to the point that it's so good. But I do have some other plans for those buildings in the cities to make them super, super high resolution. But that's going to cost a bit of money out of pocket. So it's a 15-minute check. We're going to check the DG. Cuts are matching. I don't quite match. So let me just hit this right back. There we go. That's better. We're kind of cruising along here. Now I believe I need to stay below, what, 3,500 feet or whatever. I haven't got official terminal charts at the moment. So that's something I need to be able to have, and that's one thing I can't do with the VR headset. Oh, well, I can on the EFB. but I need to be able to pay for some subscriptions to services and everything, so it's fine. You know, I'll download some from the castle website and stuff like that. So coming out here, you may see kind of in that green patch on Mount Gravatt, there is a stadium there, and or actually it's further to the right is QE2 Stadium. That's where the 1982 Commonwealth Games were held. And we went to the closing ceremony. They had Matilda, the big kangaroo, that was there, and that was 1982. So, and top of Mount Gravatt, there's a good lookout. You can look out over Archfield. It's got pilot activated lighting at Archfield. So we had some of the guys in our flying training flight had handheld aviation stuff, and I think it was like you keyed the button a number of times on a certain frequency and would turn on lights. That's something I would really love to be able to have with Microsoft Flight Simulator, but that hasn't been modeled. That is something that I had put in, as well as the nose wheel bumps on taxiway with the taxiway centerline lights. I did put in it the game design documents for Dovetail Games, Flight Simulator World, and Flight Simulator Flight School, which then subsequently all those game design documents went across to a server, and most of what I wrote in the game design documents have been implemented from Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, but there's other stuff that is coming out in Flight Sim 2024, and that stuff goes back to Flight Sim 11, which was effectively titled Flight Sim 11 Something to Do. So part of that was that get into the car, drive to the airport, get out of your car, do your pre-flight, and have a career and choose your career path. And that's something that Dovetail Games started to implement for Flight Simulator World as well. So there's that, and then more dynamic air traffic control. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn right before we hit the Southeast Freeway down here. And we will try and stick to the western side. Now we are off the inbound reporting point at target, but we'll make sure that we fly over target. That is Garden City Shopping Center down there. When we first moved up the Southeast Freeway, ended at that off ramp just down there, which it now goes all the way down to the Gold Coast and expands. And then there's Gateway Arterial, goes from the Gateway Bridge and connects to the Southeast Freeway, and then also heads out towards Ipswich. I really need to get some counterweights for this headset. Got skin on my temples, I'm noticing. I need to adjust the settings on it or something. So in this area, there's my primary school, high school, old neighborhood. There is what we call a trailer park in the US, mobile home village, high school down there, and then closest to us is a couple of ovals, and that's my primary school, and then down there is a place and one of my old homes. Hopefully I'm not giving away too much information. So we are heading down towards Target, and you'll see down there just in the corner windshield, you'll see the target on the roof. Somebody's made up a mod, and that big target is the inbound reporting point for Archfield, back over there. And there's 4 inbound reporting points. There's Park Ridge, which has a water tower. There was Swanbank Power Station, and then there was the towers at Mount Cootha on the inbound track. So I remember years ago there was a cyclone, and a big sign at the front of Springwood Mall where that target sign is got knocked down in the wind. So it's crazy. So across the left we have North Stradbroke Island. Further north is Moreton Island, and I have lived over there. I worked at Tangalooma. And Tangalooma, unfortunately, is a place that a good friend of mine that started flying training the same time I did, Melanie Talbot. She had a license, her private license. She was taking off out of Tangalooma, and engine failure after takeoff. Late afternoon, over water, got the nose over as trained, but because she was over water, she misjudged the height and hit the surface of the water, and unfortunately passed away on impact. Tragic story with her. Really shook me up for a number of years. I went back up, got back in the saddle, out at Archfield at Air Training Center at the time, and I think it was the daughter of owner of Air Training Center, was my instructor, Dan Bradbury, and she actually went to high school with Melanie and knew her, so that was kind of really good to go up, get up in the circuit with that. So down on our left is Logan Piper Dome, that big shopping center closest to us. That used to be a water park many years ago, with slides. They weren't high slides, they were basically a hill, and the water slides were pretty much just above the ground, but there was enough slope that they had some pretty cool water slides. AstroTurf, back in the days when people would smoke, so there were all cigarette burns in the AstroTurf and everything, but now it's a major shopping center, and still quite vibrant. The malls here have not been dying off like they have in the US, so it's kind of nice. And those big white sails for the parking, that's one nice thing in Australia, that they provide shade for parking and everything. So I was actually there, that's where I went to see Unsung Hero last week. So over the right is Mount Tamborine and stuff. We're going to head down on the eastern side of the highway. We will fly over Ormo, head down to Creamer, we'll see Dreamworld, fly over what used to be the Big Brother house and the production offices, and then we'll head across the Creamer River down to Gortroto Movie World Studios, and we'll head back out to Sanctuary Cove, then out to Southern Islands, down through Holywell, Runaway Bay, and head down to the Southport area. And as I work in film, there's quite a few filming locations for several things, from the 1988, 1989 series Mission Impossible. I believe most of 1988 was filmed in Brisbane. There's a TV show, Time Tracks, that's being filmed. Flipper, I worked on that out here, worked on Swimming Upstream, worked on Silent Predators, Harry Hamlin, worked on Flipper with Jessica Alba and Will Hubley, and we've played Hollywood in Top Gun, which was awesome. And there was Beastmaster and The Lost World, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World TV series. So those were all really, really awesome to work with and work on. And I have to apologize, I am yawning. I was up quite late last night out at the For King Country concert. There's another mod down there, Mount Stapleton Water Tower. Just another visual reference for the area. And this is around the area where I did my private pilot license test. So there is restricted airspace just up to our starboard side. And finally, like after many years, they built an 8-lane superhighway. This used to be, when we first moved up here, it went from 4 lanes divided down to 2-lane undivided highway past Dreamworld, and it was terrible back in those days. There would be a lot of gun accidents, particularly around Dreamworld, which is really, really wrenching and devastating. Traffic used to be horrendous. It used to take 3 hours sometimes to get back from Dreamworld. Fair bit more land being taken off these mountainsides, which is kind of sad. But I guess that's part of progress as well. So essentially they're saying that all the Gold Coast is going to be, like, all of this will be developed from Gold Coast all the way up to the Sunshine Coast. So, and yeah, there's a lot of farmland that's been turned into suburbs even around where I grew up. So, I'm just going to reset my view because I feel like I'm getting a little bit skewed. It's better. Little spacebar tap. Down to our left is Ormo, and one of the cool things they have launched is beyond these industrial buildings, there's that little shopping center before the suburb behind it, and they have drone delivery service for grocery shopping now, and you need a full remote pilot's license, REPL, rather than REOP, which is kind of thing below that. And I need to be able to get my REPL in Australia. I have my FAA Part 107 drone license, and I have my Australian private pilot's license, but it lost my records in, it's basically a big shipping container that they've got it stored in. So I need to go in and be able to prove them that I do have a pilot's license, and for them to be able to issue me a brand new license that's on a card, although they've gone digital now too. So, and that shopping centre is just down there. You can see the 1, 2, 3, 4 sails out behind it of clouds, and that's where they're doing the drone delivery from. We're slowly climbing. I really need to trim forward a little bit. We can probably lose a little bit of altitude. Over to our right is Mount Tambourine, and this is South Stradbroke Island on the left, and they filmed a lot of Congswell Island on South Stradbroke, which is pretty cool. I believe they also did Kong vs Godzilla out here. I was on the crew for that. I think I was still in the US at that point, still trapped over there because of COVID. Alright, I'm not meaning to descend that much. I really need to adjust the sensitivity of the trim. I also need to get my mouth working properly because I am super tired and I start stumbling over English, which is my first language, but when I get tired I kind of chop and change between Aussie and American accents. So apologies if you have trouble hearing what I am saying. I will try to enunciate better, and if needed I can even try to John Malkovich my pronunciation, which is an awesome actor. I love his work. He's really good as an actor. So I believe this is Pimpama down on the left, or Pimpama, depending on how you pronounce it. And we are coming up on Coomera, and that is the big Coomera shopping centre. There's now kind of in the foreground where it's green and stuff, they've actually put up a Costco there and a few other buildings, which is awesome. There's a train station just behind there. You can just kind of make the buildings out, those two lines with an orangey red roof. And the Coomera River now over to our left. Get around this, yeah, there's Hop Island over there, and there's Sanctuary Cove over there. Some of my favorite places. I used to live in that region, which was very close to Film Studios. Now, Film Studios is just off our nose at 12 o'clock. I'm just going to turn to the right a little bit because we also want to be able to see Dreamworld. And that's Dreamworld just there through the window. And you may notice there's a little bit of a building hidden in the trees, and that is the Big Brother house. So I was there on season 1, and the guy that I picked up at the airport, from the airport, was the guy that won, Ben, which was really super cool. My dad also had his hair cut on national TV to look like Gordon with spiky hair out the side. And I was so mad at him at the time, but now I look back at it, it was quite funny. Over at our 10 o'clock, you'll see Summer Surfers Paradise. The building LED is kind of an issue at the moment, so you don't see all the buildings. We're a little bit far away, but that is to do with the photogrammetry and is programmed in. So I'm just going to pull the throttle back to about 1500 and descend. I should have leaned back the mixture a little bit actually, but that's all good. We're in the sim, we're not paying for fuel. And I'll just trim back a little bit, descend towards the studio. So the main sound stages here, they don't have the newest edition sound stage, which is the largest sound stage in the Southern Hemisphere, which they used for, I believe it was Aquaman was the first movie that was filmed there, on the new Soundstage 9, which is long enough to, I believe it's to fit the fuselage of the 747 in there. Also, yeah, it used to be fun actually working on stuff, and back before they burned down one of the sound stages during a movie, it was rated for 2 burns, director asked for 3, soundstage was razed to the ground. And that big building closest to us, that was the Looney Tunes ride. That was one of my very first jobs. The exciting title of Fire Exit Supervisor, just after I got out of high school. Also went to New York Film Academy down here on site. That big long building, long narrow building, that was where we had classes amongst some of the other buildings. Soundstage 5 down there, that's where the indoor tanks were, where I first met Republi, as well as Jessica Alma. And I will not go further into that story, but it was a very, very cool lunch that I had that day. She showed me a lot about myself. I didn't realize that there was a bunch of houses on this ridgeline here. I've never noticed that before. Then again, I haven't really flown in VR with this level of resolution down this way. So, what's my altitude? I'm trying to level off a little bit. So we're coming around, and yeah, so Mission Impossible was filmed back at the film studios. One of my very first jobs was down at the studios there, so that was cool. We're going to cut across here, throttle back up, power attitude trim, back up to 2300 RPM, and normal. Feels like about right now. I really need to download one of those mods that fix up a lot of the waterways and bridges and stuff. They're mostly concentrated around the US, I believe, but there are mods for here. Now that little island kind of in the middle where there's no houses on it, that's now more developed. Originally it was, I forget what the name of it was, but they had really, really awesome development plans, but that was before the economy crashed in 2008 and they went bankrupt. Really, really, really wonderful neighborhood, but there's been a lot of development there now. A couple of shopping centers gone in and stuff. Here we have one of the marinas. I really want to populate that with vessels there because that's an area that is very familiar to me. And then there's the Coomera warehouses. Now I went there with, there was a guy, a lot of Aussies would know it, especially if they grew up in the 1980s, Chris Conroy's Water Boats, and then later Chris Conroy's Leisure World. And my dad actually got to know him, worked with him on the Sparrowhawk ultralight aircraft. So just off our nose is Sanctuary Cove. We have the main shopping village there, and then to the left you'll see that big pool, and in front of it is a hotel. They actually filmed Mission Impossible, one of the scenes that they were in the Caribbean islands with a lot of gambling and stuff, and basically corrupt stuff. I believe actually I worked with Gus Mercurio was on that episode, and I worked with Gus on Flipper where he played Cap Dalton. So he was really great. I sent him a Christmas card, and funny thing was that with that Christmas card, I really don't want to tell a story. So in front of us is Hope Harbor Marina. Again, I want to populate that with boats, and yeah, this is Hope Island right here, which is, as you can see, is a nice drive to film studios. Great neighborhood to live in. So as we come around and intercept the main road here, just down there is now where the Maria D that was in Flipper is anchored. Spent some time on that vessel when we were from Flipper. Coming around here, I remember there was one time the roads were closed because of a marathon or triathlon, and I had to take a boat to work from the marina back there and come down. The skipper, I was working at Sea World Wire Watch at the time, and the skipper had his own little boat, so we took that to work because it was the only way to get to work that day. Down here, this little end of this thing next to these couple of buildings, that's where we filmed one episode of Flipper. And then here, other Southern Islands, Piper Tomahawk, who's building Titanic 2, has one of the largest buildings on this. He's one of the world's billionaires. And these waterways here is where we filmed one of the episodes of season 3 of Flipper, where Cap Dalton was trying to help out his friend who had a fishing trawler, and he got knocked out and a few stunts in the water and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. This is Ephraim Island just ahead. That's been developed since Flipper was filmed. The bridge had been there for a number of years, but the island had been undeveloped. So you often see this bridge in the 1990 series of The Wall, which is also called the New Adventures. And then you come around here, and you'll see those buildings in that alcove and a bunch of trees there. That is what used to be an old caravan park, and it was leased for years to the film studio, and they had the Air Sea Rescue landing spot just on the other side of the canal. There is, or the inlet there is where the helipad used to be for the Bal Harbour Institute, and the Bal Harbour Institute is just below our nose. A couple of Norfolk Pines there. A lot of filming scenes were out in this area, and the stuff that we were doing with Cap was that area. There's Runaway Bay Marina. And again, another episode of Flipper was filmed in there. Also, Mission Impossible, I believe, was filmed in there. So, the question is, do we want to get all the way down to Coolangatta? I'll take a tour down past Surfers Paradise, actually. What I'm going to do is I'll come down here. I think that's Bayview Harbor right there. This is Wave Break Island up ahead. Now, the mayor wanted to put in a cruise ship terminal here, and a lot of locals got up in an uproar because they wanted to put a casino on here and everything, and everyone's like, no, this is for the people. So they protested. I used to row my boat out here too, and I lived just behind me and rowed across to the island here. In fact, I did filming for a short film over this part of the island. You see that little track across the island. Brought my film crew of 3 and 1 actress, and filmed the scene on South Stradbroke. Also, one of the GoPro promos, Kelly Slater, this is a surfing spot here. Kelly Slater was filming down there, so one thing that bothers me is these dunes do not have all the vegetation that they should have in real life, and I haven't had the time to go in and map them manually. I'm not sure whether it's worth my time to actually map them. So what we're going to do, we are going to head back up to this island. We will then cut in towards the Southport Aero Club, overfly the airfield, make a right hand turn onto downwind, and then come in for a touch and go. And my VR headset's really putting pressure on my forehead. So I should have turned the fuel pump off earlier. The landing lights off earlier. Again, that's something I should be doing in real life. I am being lackadaisical in the sim. Not a good habit, because I don't want that to transfer into real life. So just getting my bearings. This shopping center here too is really cool, because you can actually take your boat and moor at the shopping center, do your grocery shopping. And I have done that. My car broke down at one point, and I had to take the boat, which was kind of a fun adventure. Alright, Southport Air Club's here, so I'm just going to come across to the left. Actually, I'll join on upwind. I really should memorize what the only heading is here. I am below 1,000 feet. Let me get back up to it. Alright. Brakes off, undercarriage down, particularly rich. Primer locked. Fuel pump on. Hatches and harnesses secure. I'm doing that a little bit earlier. I can only do that on downwind, but we can do that again when we're on downwind. Yeah, that's Harbour Town Shopping Center. Right, level off here at 1,000 feet ADL. And let's head towards Crosswind Lake here. It's an interesting amount of dirt. I haven't noticed that before. Alright, what I've left. And double back. So Jeff McTaggart, that used to be a helicopter pilot for a film, used to have a hangar down here. I've got the Southport mod installed. Really, really excellent work. Really great guy. Spoke with him. I sent him reference photos in case he ever did in a future update. So try for 15-degree angle bank. The only other bugbear that I do have with the Tomahawk that I need to talk to Justified about is the turn and bank indicator seems to have a big taunt once you reach the 15-degree angle bank. Now that should actually bank past that, because that gives you your 2-minute turn. So for 2 minutes you'll do a 360-degree turn, and when you take off you do a 15-degree angle bank, which is a 2-minute turn, and in a minute you'll be on your downwind. And if you are properly set up in a Tomahawk, you should get 500 feet of independent climb on an oval circuit, and you should arrive at 1,000 feet directly on the reciprocal heading of the runway, and be in a perfect position. But I kind of need to derate the engines a little bit for wear and tear for 10 years to model that more accurately. Alright, so we're bringing the throttle back. Always closer. I'm just going to extend downwind a little bit. Throttle back. Keep nose back. Trim for 70 knots. And first stage of flap. And we'll start a 2-minute turn. Hold the nose. Should get about 500 feet a minute. Descent, look back at the runway, make sure we don't cut the corners. Keep 15-degree angle. Keep reference. Get airspeed slow. So we want to hold 70 knots and adjust our rate of descent with the throttle. And we are high enough, so we'll do a second stage of flap. Balance it out. We still need to come down a fair bit, so I'm going to pull the throttle back, keep the airspeed up. I'm getting a few stutters, probably because I'm recording video. And I do need to get a realistic tree height mod. Okay. We really have to go up here, because my airspeed's way low. Alright, that's better. Which reminds me, there was once when I was flying into Oki, and it was early on in my solo flights doing circuits, and I came into land and I had a good 50-knot headwind, and 70 knots, that's pretty good, and hit wind shear on short final, and I suddenly felt the aircraft sink. I looked over the windsock, the windsock had gone limp, and I was literally 2 knots above flaps up stall speed, and immediately put in the throttle. Actually landed on that circuit, but I was a little bit shaken up. So I need to wait for the runway threshold. Right, kill throttle. This is a terrible landing. Yeah. All right. Flaps up. Full throttle. Flying club over there. Really nice people. These trees are definitely too large for real life. Why? Yeah, flaps did not come up. Why am I not getting climb performance and why am I not getting airspeed? Alright, I'm going to bank left with this mountain or hill. Let's head down towards Coolangatta, because hopefully the sun should be setting. I'm not going to worry about my climb speed at the moment. Oh man, this VRX is really pitching the hard. I need to loosen it a little bit. A little more of the weight on my nose. Alright. Yeah, maybe I'll go leave it at about 70 knot climb speed. Fuel pump is on, landing light off. Temperature pressure within limits. Change tank. Throttle. Max. Oh, give me a second, I just need to move this headset. Just really hitting the bone. You usually can spend hours under the headset, but it's been a while, and I haven't heard it set properly. Also, back near that airfield where we came over those trees before final, that was where they filmed some of the scenes for on Skull Island, which was really a funny story with that, because I had blocked out a scene to be able to film there, and where I was going to park the car, and there's special blocking for the shots, and turn up on the day to film, and there's a big porta potty right there in the parking spot exactly where I needed the car. I'm like, who puts a porta potty here? It's park. Nobody comes to this park. Well, a year or two later, I got to see the trailer for Skull Island, and they filmed in the same grove of trees that I had chosen. I'm like, alright, those guys took priority. No problem, they could have that location. Didn't stop me from shooting and stuff. It didn't let me shoot to plan, but I still got everything I needed in terms of coverage. I just was trying to do a special thing in terms of continuity. So, now that big building down there is Q1. It used to be the tallest residential tower in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm not sure whether it still is. There's a big observation deck up the top. So coming into Coolangatta, which is pretty much ahead, we'll come around and we'll land the same direction. There doesn't seem to be any traffic at the moment, so we'll just make a straight approach this time. And used to go out here, see what I want to watch. Now, anybody that's a pilot knows that the Earth is not flat, because I grew up in the airlines in Melbourne, and it bugs me when I see people that are like, oh, the Earth's flat, the Earth's flat. Well, because my parents both worked at TAA, Trans-Australian Airlines, which then became Qantas Domestic, then came Australian Airlines, then came Qantas Domestic, and Ansett, we had to take the first flight in the day, and we would leave Melbourne Airport with the aircraft in the dark. As we were taxiing out, there's a thin sliver of red on the horizon, and reached the end of the runway, ready for takeoff. And again, it's pitch black with only a very slightest hint of red on the horizon, and take off, and literally 5 to 10 minutes later, we're in full bright daylight, no sunrise. Like, sunrise was like a couple of minutes. And we're up there, and the same thing, I was at the SeaWorld watch. The humpback whales migrate past here every year, and that's something I do want to add into the sim. Or would be happy if somebody else did that. But we would go offshore, and you could literally see, when you got a certain number of miles offshore, you would see the buildings disappear from the ground up, and you could only see the top of Q1 and stuff. So I was like, no, the Earth's round. The Earth's spheroid. And even when I've been living out along the coast, I've been able to see, there's only very slight, but you can actually see the curvature of the Earth. Alright, just down here is Burley Heads, that mountain, just near that outlet there. And then further down there's Telebudder. Right, I need to stop climbing. I used to have to send me towards the airport. I think I set the clock a little bit too early this time. Just hoping to have a nice sunset flight in, but oh, it was good enough. I mean, we get nice shadows across the cockpit and stuff. Now, because this is a high traffic area, I am going to turn on the landing light. I believe that is in the VH-TLA. And I believe that is cool there. So I'm going to head towards Telebudder Inlet, and then I should be able to turn onto the final. Oh no, there's the runway and lights there. So yeah, I'll head over a little bit more westerly and line up. We're not too far off. Let me bring the throttle back. We are coming in quite fast. Let's slow it down a little bit. And on shutdown, I'll show you some of the special stuff I've done with the repaints. And hopefully I can do it in VR. So we come right a little bit. Because we are way high on the approach. Again, pulling down, trimming back. Don't want to go too slow in case there's other traffic. Alright, make sure we're clear around. Okay. Brakes off, undercarriage down, mixture fully rich, primer from locked, fuel pump on, and harness is secure. Trolling back more and trying to trim for 70 knots. I'm failing at this point. We are way high, so I'm gonna put in one stage of flap, hold the nose, right, trim for 70 knots. We're still way high, so I'm gonna go full flap at this point, and still trim for 70 knots. Come. And we'll try and get on Fuzzy soon. Okay, 7 knots is good there. Now we do have an aircraft taking off towards us. Oh, this is one of the joys of the simulator. When you have zero wind, they tend to assign one runway as a primary runway, and I kind of need to change that. I do need to buy coolant at airport for this in. I need to trust my trim and not put it in back pressure. Connection lost. I do have an inactive internet connection. Ignore that. It should pick up again. And connection is restored. I've been having issues with the internet lately. Alright, let's hope there are any other aircraft take off on the opposite runway. Because my VR headset's actually a little bit uncomfortable right now. Still high on the approach, still keeping a 70 knot approach. Temperature, pressure and limits. We would have done a radio call, clear for landing, yada yada. I do want to get say intentions. That looks like a really awesome air traffic control system. We are still way high on the approach. The good thing is I'm trimmed for 70 knots, so I just need to cut the throttle a little bit. Go away message. Alright, we're on center line now. We've already pre-cached the scenery anyway. The airspeed's getting a little bit low. Nose down for a lot. Throw up a lot more. Keep on center line. As the nose goes past the piano keys, we will throw back to idle. And start to flare. Throttle back. Gently pull the nose up. Look down the end of the runway. Don't pull back too much. Flare. Hold the stall warning should be going off. And oh, that was a bit of a greaser. And we should be able to make this first taxiway. Hit the brakes. Make sure we don't lock them up like a certain other pilot did when I was learning to fly. Not me. And take this first taxiway. And flaps up. Where's my mouse? Landing light off. Fuel pump off. Strobes off. And oh, is that a run-up bay? That's different. Guess general aviation's over this way. I do not know this airport layout. And I'm getting major stutters for some reason. Which I don't normally get. It's normally buttery smooth. You know something? I don't think that connects to the tarmac. I'm gonna turn around. I would normally call ground surface movement control for taxi guidance. But we're gonna go park over there, then near those, or the -7. Apologies if anybody knows Coolangatta Airport better than I do. Is that a hold point here? It looks like a hold point. Right. Clearance across. We have a runway here. Right. Here's a taxi. Let's take this taxiway on the left. Man, those jitters are starting to make my stomach queasy. That's the worst. I've never had jitters like that. It seems to be potentially tied in with sim update 15. They said that they eliminated stutters, but they seem to have introduced some. Let's go park over near the fuel. I don't believe that's where the fuel. I'm gonna park in front of the hangars. Now I'll go park over near the fuel because I do need to fill it up after the flight. Oh, that's Jet A1. It's gonna ask me to fill up anyway. Alright, park brake on. Let's first things first, 1000 RPM. Check for drop on the magnetos. Back to both. Same for the left. Drops. Back. No rough running. Check 121.5. Nothing in emergency frequency. Trim neutral. And mixture idle. Engine shut off. Throttle close. Alternator off. Battery off. It's just going to glitch here. And let's fill her up. Alright, so that's the end of the flight. Let's unlatch the doors. Trying to find a spot. It really doesn't like VR. Clickety clickety click. There we go. And like this door over here. Okay, so we'll go back, fill out the aircraft log, and then let's see if I can get back to main menu, and let's go exit the aircraft and close the door, lock the door, and then lock the latch. And that's the end of the flight. Okay, so here we are. We're outside the aircraft. Did the orange paint. The cheat lines here for TLA, they're as close as I can get currently with the paint tools that I have underneath the fuselage. As I said, I don't know whether I can see the arrow. They end roughly kind of in line with the front there. I've gotten as close as possible. The uniform Alpha Lima, it actually comes all the way back to here. The other differences with the tail with TLA and FTI versus UAL is this AirTC logo is back further, and there's also the AirTC changed to AAFC, and then this dome underneath got painted orange at some point, and then the sheet lines. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to shut down and end the recording there, and yeah, thanks for flying with me.